Compliance Live. I'm Amanda Hosenfeld, and I am joined by my colleague who continues to not be Kaylin Gomka. Chris Martin is back with us today. Chris, hi.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
We're great here in the office. How is it working from home?
It's great. Welcome to my home office. It's been a challenge, but we're starting to get into a routine so I can actually get my work done while trying to manage the kids I have at home as well. But we're making it work.
Yeah, you've got like three little kids at home. They're not like self-sufficient children either, right?
No. They're of the age where they're going to run around like little tornadoes and just tear stuff up in the house. So it's a challenge. It's a lot of start and stop. So I get a little bit done.
Yeah, I think the best we got when Michelle was on the podcast was her cat. So that'd be cool if your kids wanted to drop in.
And I'm sure they probably will. So just be prepared.
Well, before we get started, I do want to mention that Mark from Accounting would like everybody to know that this podcast is sponsored by Compliance Line. So thank you to Compliance Line for offering this valuable space for ethics and compliance related content. Stay tuned. At the end of the show, we have a really cool announcement about next week's show that we can't wait to share with you. Our topic today is keeping compliant at home while you're working from home. So we talked with Michelle a couple of shows ago about staying positive while working from home and how difficult that is to kind of keep your spirits up. I want to talk to you, Chris, specifically about staying compliant at home and why it's important to make sure that you have all of the policies and precautions in place to be able to make sure that you're, not breaking any rules while you're in your home office.
Yep, absolutely. I think first and foremost, you absolutely need to have those policies in place, but educating your staff on what those policies are so they can follow them is probably first and foremost. And look, no one has this perfect yet. There are a lot of best practices that you can follow, but I know with most companies, they're constantly improving, adding new procedures in to help them stay compliant when we're having to deal with a situation like this. A lot of thought has gone into what's called business continuity right now, which is where a pandemic or some sort of disaster strikes, and you want to make sure that your company will still run like a well-oiled machine, regardless of where your employees are, and that all the safety precautions and compliance issues are still being followed during that time. So that's some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and let's start there. Let's start with policies. I think any of our constant listeners would know that I'm a policies person. I want there to be a policy for everything, and I want everybody to follow the policy. But I think in this world that we're in now, companies are having to address the fact that they had a very slim or maybe not a hugely fleshed out work from home policy. I know that at Compliance Line, our office came into work. We did not have very many, if any, remote workers. And now 50%, if not more, of our staff now works remotely. Mm-hmm. So when we were taking a look through our policies, trying to update them, we were like, where is our work at home policy? Do we even have anything that outlines how do I log time? How do I show the work that I did? How do I make sure that, information is protected?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things to consider there. So to your point, right? It's how do I do work from a different location when I'm not at work, I'm not on their network, I'm not within their security parameters, right? So how do I still continue to do my work outside of the physical business location? So, you're right. So we didn't really have a lot of work from home policies here. We have a very close knit culture. All of us come into the office. We like seeing each other on a daily basis. But now that we've been forced into sort of this brave new world of having to work from home, we scrambled a little bit to get things in place. So it is having those regular touch points and communications to let your manager know the number of hours you're spending on each particular task so they can continue to guide and direct you, making sure that you are spending the time that you are spending, that it is on the right things and that you're using it wisely. I know that if you're not disciplined enough or you're not used to the work at home thing, you can get into these habits of, oh, look, laundry has to be done. Oh, look, dishes. Oh, like, look at all these other things that will start distracting you from the work that you're supposed to be doing during the day. So there can be some policies put around that for encouraging people to stay focused, doing the work that they know they need to do. Sometimes it takes sectioning off parts of the day to get individual pieces of work done, but then encouraging people to actually go walk, go take a break, get up from your desk for a minute. Because I have the opposite problem. When I'm at home, I'm at my desk the whole time and I forget to take those breaks just to refresh. But, coming up with a best case scenario, because people don't naturally know how to manage around those things, is always a good idea. So that's just from, the work perspective.
So I think that, like, I would be the worst person to manage working from home. Like, I can go do my laundry, or I can watch a scary movie, or I've been meaning to finish this book that I wanted to read. Do you think that it has always been a policy or a practice of companies to be more lenient with people working from home, or is it a product of this COVID work from home atmosphere where we're kind of giving each other a break, and our boss may be like, hey, like, if you put in a solid 6 hours of work, we're going to call it an 8-hour day?
Yeah. So, I do think, obviously these are unprecedented times. It's not every day that we have a pandemic. So I do think that some leniency is being given there. But I think at the same time, managers want to hold their employees accountable, right? If you're an hourly employee, you want to make sure that you're getting the work that you're paying for on an hourly basis. I think sometimes when someone is salaried, maybe that's a little bit easier because you have these goals that that need to be reached. And if you can get them done in less time, it's not going to change. You're not on an hourly basis, so it's not really going to change what the pay structure is there, as long as you're getting your work, right? But regardless, in either one of those situations, it doesn't change the fact that most managers need some level of accountability and report in on what's being done and the work that's being accomplished.
I think you make a really great point about the hourly employee, and two parts of this conversation are the policies and procedures, but also the tech side. But I think those mirror very closely to our individuals that we have still coming into the office. And so when we get to that part, we'll talk about it then. But part of the reason, majority of our hourly staff still comes into the office is because of the work that they do. And we need to be able to make sure that they're accountable to those hours.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it does depend on your position. It depends on the organization and what type of work it is that you're doing, obviously. But I think that, to your point earlier, a lot of companies are being more lenient during this time. But I also think that some companies, the work from home thing was this big, scary thing that they didn't know how to manage around. And now that they've been forced into trying to figure it out, I think it's truly going to change. Some companies, it's going to change their perspective in the future of, hey, we were forced into it, but we made it work. Now we think it might be an option on an ongoing basis, right? It will become the new norm for some companies.
Do you think you take that, Chris? Would you work from home on a consistent basis?
I
feel like a loaded question, just so that you need to answer it right now.
No. Actually, so I'm kind of strange. I really like the social interaction. I don't mind going into work because I like the people I work with. I want to be around them. Like, I get to see your smiling face every day, right? So
that's true.
I really like that social interaction. However, when the opportunity or the occasion presents itself and I need to work from home because let's say I've got to take my kids to the pediatrician or whatever it might be, I like to know that I have that option and that there are policies and procedures in place to help me be productive while I'm, taking that time to work from home. So I get my work done. I can take care of the personal things that need to get taken care of, but it doesn't require that I'm, have to come into the office early or leave late or things of that nature. So to that point, I'm actually putting in more hours since I'm working from home than I did when I was having to drive into the office. So
that was actually my next question. Do you feel like your output is higher working from home? Because I feel like for me that would be complete opposite. There's not a horror movie that I would left unwatched.
So in full disclosure, I worked, before I came on with the compliance line, I worked at home for 2.5 years straight. So it helped me to develop that discipline to know how to stay focused. And honestly, if I don't have to get up as early in the morning and get dressed and ready and showered and then make the drive into work, and then conversely drive all the way home in the afternoon, I just have to come downstairs and get right on the computer. I actually do get more work done. But I can tell you in those early days when I was learning how to do it, there would be times when I would get distracted with something here in the house, and then next thing I know, like an hour and a half or 2 hours is gone. And I go, oh God, where did the day go? And I didn't get enough work done. And it just, that anxiety and stress builds up from that. So you really do have to learn how to manage around those things, and then have the discipline to stay focused to actually get your work done.
Right. And I think to your point, you have to be disciplined in it, but your company needs to set the parameters. Like you have to have a strong policy that says, whether you're in a difficult time like this COVID nightmare or not, like this is what I expect of individuals working from home, and this is how I'm going to monitor and enforce that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of move forward a little bit, we've talked about some of the, policies and procedures and how we keep people on task to actually get work done. But, there's a lot of, I think, technical requirements as well that we probably need to talk about. Obviously, if you're at work, the assumption is, or at least here at Compliance Line, we're behind a firewall. We've got network securities in place. We have security and physical locks on all of the doors that we have to badge into. There's a lot of those types of security measures that you have in place at work that you sort of take for granted that you don't have at home. But yet people are so comfortable in their homes, they don't necessarily think about the additional security measures that they need to be monitoring and measuring and acting on. So for example, right, we all have password protected laptops. Anytime I go to use my laptop, I have to enter my password to get in, right? And so whenever I walk away from my desk at work, I will lock my desktop, right, so that no one else can access it or see what's there. When I'm at home, I don't necessarily always do that. It's like, oh, I need to step out to go grab lunch or run to the store really quickly before I come back and get back on, and I just leave my computer up and running like it is. I like to think that I can trust my family and my kids and things of that nature, but honestly, like, there's no telling what they could come in and click on or see that they're not supposed to, even from a regulatory standpoint, right? If I've got PHI up on the screen that no one else is supposed to see, I need to have my laptop locked at home just like I would at work. So there's a lot of considerations like that, I think, that you have to think about and employ working from home just like you would at work.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, like things that you wouldn't even have thought that you do at work. So, for example, because we do with HIPAA and personal health information, anything that we print has to be securely locked in a shred bin. Well, you don't have secure locks in shred bins at your house. So it's from the, what did I print, and grab off the printer. If you do that at home, you risk, that going into a trash can, and then somebody that's not, once it gets thrown away, that has access to that. So it's things that I wouldn't have even, associated with, oh, okay, I should be more careful. Another one is like Wi-Fi passwords. If you're working from home, your Wi-Fi password should be secure. It shouldn't be like the fake secure, like we kind of think our Wi-Fi passwords should be, or it should be a legitimately appropriate weird combination of letters and digits and special characters, because you don't know who else has access to the information that's on your computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then, to take that even one step further, most companies will typically employ a VPN, right? A virtual private network, so that if you need to access, let's say, the servers at work or some of your shared files at work, and you need your laptop to access those, typically a good idea is to use that virtual private network, because it gives you that additional layer of security to be able to get a secure portal or sort of a tunnel into your company's networks or servers to pull down that information. But the other thing that you can't underestimate as well is just having good antivirus, anti-phishing, software and procedures in place on your computer and the way that things are managed. I also know that even with the emails that we have come in, we've got a pretty active, spam and virus filter that comes through with the emails and stuff that we get. So, we can go a lot deeper here on the, privacy and cybersecurity side of things. But needless to say, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of times you have those things at work. You need to figure out how to have those things in place as well when you work from home.
Right, and I think that brings that conversation back around to the individuals that we still have coming into the office. We can't, without seeing everybody's personal connection at home, their Wi-Fi, sending them home with a secured laptop, that the personal health information of our clients is going to be protected. So that's why we still have them coming into the office. And I think it's just that extra layer. This is kind of one of those situations where as a trainer, I can look back and I say, hey, you remember that training that you all grumbled about taking in January about personal information and tech security? Now it's coming all back around because that's really important that it's, is seen now as relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's, just not to get too far off base here, but obviously, it's really important to train your employees, not just in how to manage the data, but all the different aspects of your organization. And most organizations will do update training once a year. But at times like this, it's really important to come back around and refresh people on that training around document control and information security and even your workspace security, and not about not leaving important documentation laying out or locking your computer or allowing other people to see PHI that shouldn't. It's good to have some refreshers in place. One thing that Compliance Line does that we also offer to our clients would be what we call Spark Learnings, and they're 2 to 5 minute little refresher trainings on all of the data privacy and security training that we had given them earlier in the year. So now would be the perfect time to break those out and start sending them around to people to remind them how they should be managing, important and classified information as they're working from home. So a lot of that's going to be relevant. And now is the time as a trainer that you can come back and be like, hey, remember these things? And just a reminder, because these are all relevant right now to the situation that we're going through.
Yeah, when we do our training plans every year, kind of reassess our training schedule, I always say, why don't we about the middle of the year do a refresher on, privacy and security? And, oh, Mando, we're never going to need that. The one in January is fine. And look who was right.
Yes, exactly.
Right here.
That's right.
Before we kind of close up, I do want to just bring up the one final thing that I don't know that a lot of people have really thought about, and that's doing business on your personal devices. So not just your laptops that are like company owned, but I know if you have your cell phone and you get emails into your cell phone, potentially that could be a cause or another way that cybersecurity could be threatened. So again, we don't think twice about it on a normal circumstance, but once you start getting work emails and there's potential, health information, or now your phone has become another carrier of a record that we have to watch out for GDPR in. So it's kind of adding, it's like you said earlier, it's taking what we already know by coming into the office and adding that layer for how does this apply to what I do at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know with my role, and a lot of people can relate, like you have your phone connected into your work email and connected into the network so I can pull files and things of that nature. The thing you have to remember is your phone nowadays, these smartphones, they are simply another computer. You need all of the exact same security measures on that as you would on your laptop at home or at work. So I know that some of the security measures that we have put in place is in that you just as a best practice, everybody should do is you can actually get antivirus software for your phone as well, because phones can be hacked or phished just like your computer can.
Isn't that terrifying? That's terrifying.
Think of how much more personal information is on your phone these days than even your laptop, right? I mean, yeah, you're
not making me feel better. You're not making me feel better, Chris.
when you have that connectivity into work information, so let me back up. So it's important to have antivirus and privacy software on your phone to protect you personally, but especially when those phones are connected into work emails or PHI or files of that nature, it's important to even have, some sort of security lock where you use your fingerprint or a passcode, or there's a two-factor authentication to actually get into your phone to even access it. And that's on top of any of the other security measures that you've got running there. So that's actually a really important thing to do because it protects your company and you as well. But there's a also, I think, just an added security risk because these are so mobile and they are so portable. They're easy to get lost. You can leave them places when you sit down at a restaurant. And hey, if it's not password protected or encrypted the way that it should be, then you just left all of your company's information and possibly your client's information laying out there as well. So, super, super important to not forget to encrypt your mobile devices, but especially if it's a personal mobile device as well.
Right. And again, it comes down to this is all stuff that your company should train you during your annual required training period. But it now has become more relevant that we're forced into this situation where half of our population is working from home. So just check with your HR department, your IT department, make sure you're compliant, make sure that you know the policy, and make sure that you are you understand what's expected of you and that your IT is up to snuff so that we don't lose any or jeopardize any part of our business.
Yeah, but as an organization, I mean, that's absolutely true. But as an organization, you should also have those policies in place to say, look, Mr. or Mrs. Employee, if you're going to use your personal phone, here's what we require in order to protect our data. Because you can't expect the employee to know, what security measures need to be in place. But apart from that, the IT team at your organization should also just have a sign off from the employee that they have agreed to keep your information safe on their personal device, but also keeping track of whose personal devices and how many of them are actually have access to or are carrying protected company information. So just one other sort of best practice that we can give you there as everybody's continuing to learn how to basically ramp up and deal with security issues while you're working from home.
Yeah, nobody wants to be caught flat-footed with well, I didn't know, especially IT, HR, the regular employee, our CEOs. Nobody wants to use that as an excuse because it's not really one. So I think that's a great point.
Yep.
Chris, come back anytime. Will you do another show with me?
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I love being on the show. So anytime you have an availability and I can add value, just let me know.
Do you want to stick around for our announcement?
Absolutely.
This is super cool. Before we let everybody jump off of this fun-sized mini-sode about compliance when you're working from home, next week's show is going to be just a little different. Instead of putting out a show at 10 a.m., we will be doing a live recorded show at 4 p.m. We are doing a virtual happy hour with some of our employees here. So everybody's going to bring a compliance in the news article, and they're going to bring an adult beverage of their choice, and we are going to do a completely unscripted happy hour style discussion and Q&A session. So if you would like to come, please register. You can register out through our social media for the GoToWebinar, and we will answer your questions live, and fun is going to be had by all. So we are very excited for that.
That sounds like an amazing time. I will see you there.
Yeah, please. Yeah, jump on the webcam, show us some questions, bring your own adult beverage. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for joining me. I hope you'll come back for Compliance Live. I'm Amanda Hosenfeld.
And I'm Chris Martin.
And stay compliant.